I've got mad respect for somebody who believes what they say they believe enough to do something about what they say they believe. What if the richest person in the world did your financial homework for you? What if you could be in class, in how to make money class, and you could sit beside the richest person in the world and they showed you some of their notes? What if you found on the street the playbook that Elon Musk used to create Tesla? Let me ask you a question. If you applied the principles that he applied, would your life be better? Because in this video, I'm going to show you 3 pages out of Elon Musk's $274 billion net worth playbook. Are you ready? So, Elon Musk, everybody knows who he is. He's an insanely brilliant, if that makes any sense, wildly successful, unusually eccentric, and very, very rich person. His net worth is $274+ billion. That's over $250 billion in net worth. And there have been many times in his life he was broke. So he knows if you're struggling financially right now, Elon Musk knows what it's like to be struggling. I saw a video of him on YouTube where he said, when me and my brother first started our business, we wanted to save money, so we didn't even rent an apartment. We just rented a small office building and we slept on the couch. And I worked every waking moment, and the website was up during the day, but I coded at night. He said, that's what we did when we started our company. But the business that I want to bring to your attention, the playbook that I want to bring to your attention is the Tesla playbook. Because the Tesla playbook, I'm not a fan of electric cars. I don't own one. I'm probably not going to own one unless they get to the point where you can't buy gasoline cars anymore. I like gasoline cars. I just like them. But mind the price of gas, I don't care. I just don't want to have to drive for 2.5 hours and then stop and charge my car for 45 minutes or whatever. I don't want to do that. That's not interesting to me. That's not appealing. That feels like hassle to me. But mad respect for Elon Musk, and especially the way he built his first company. And so if we will take some pages out of his playbook and build our first business the way Elon Musk built Tesla. Now, Tesla wasn't his first business, but he learned some things when he did PayPal and some of those other ventures that he could apply to Tesla. And so when he built Tesla, the first page out of Elon Musk's $274 billion playbook is this: start with a prototype framework. What does that mean? The very first car that Tesla built was the Tesla Roadster. I don't know if y'all remember when these came out back in the early 2000s, but the Tesla Roadster was a very fast car. But Tesla's a very fast car. Like 0 to 60, the fastest car, I think, in the world, because there's no lag. It's just instant torque, right? And so when Tesla built that first Tesla Roadster, it was built on a Lotus frame. So Lotus is a car that existed before Tesla. A Lotus is a gasoline car. Tesla's like, okay, this is a small car. This is a compact car. This is a light car. I can build my electric car on this model, and then I can do all of my tests. And because it's lighter, won't burn as much of the battery as a heavier car. So I'm just going to build it on the framework of a Lotus. So his very first car, production car, was a car that he didn't build from the ground up. He found a prototype. He found something that already worked. And then he built his business on top of something that somebody else already created. And see, a part of the problem that you're having as an entrepreneur is you want to come up with some unique idea that nobody's ever done before. And you want to have this unique way of doing it that nobody's ever done it that way before. And you want to be the next Chat GPT. But you're probably not going to do that. So how do you build on another framework? Like, what are some other frameworks that we can build on? Some other things that already exist that we can use to make profit from? Okay. Well, the first one I'm going to talk about is a big one that everybody has access to. It's called the internet. So if you're going to start with a prototype framework, I'm just going to call it a PT. You're going to start with a prototype framework Man, I'm pressing too hard. A prototype framework. That means you're going to build on something that already exists. Well, what already exists? Well, the internet already exists. So you can start with the internet. So here's the question I have for you. It's a practical question. As you're watching this YouTube video, as you're here in studio, here's the practical question. Of the revenue you make, how much of it do you make online? If the answer is none, I'm going to tell you something. You are asleep at the wheel and you are leaving a fortune on the table. But I don't know how to make money on the internet. Doesn't matter. If you don't know how to make money on the internet, that's not even part of the equation. If you're not making money on the internet, you are leaving a fortune on the table. Here's what I mean by that. So I learned about the internet back in the 90s. My next to my youngest brother was a software engineer, and he knew about the internet. Like, I first started using the internet when it was Prodigy and CompuServe, and it was just billboards. Does anybody remember Prodigy and CompuServe? Okay. And so, like, and everything was text, and like, you just had to read these long posts, and I'm like, I'm a slow reader. It'll take too long. It's fine. It's fun to use to look up information, but I'm not going to, like, I don't see this thing being a thing, right? So my brother says, Myron, I'm telling you, there's going to come a time they're going to have these stores on the internet, and they're going to have malls online, and you'll just be able to go on the internet and place an order and order stuff online. Do you know what I said to him? This is not what I thought. I was like not smart enough to just think it and not open my mouth and say something this dumb. And I said to him, why would somebody want to buy something on a computer when they can just go to the store and get it? Right? Like, that was my first thought about anybody selling anything or buying anything online. Now, today, my idea is, why would anybody go to the store and buy something when you can just order it online? Like, I only go to the store when I absolutely, positively have to, or if I'm going to go with my wife or my daughter or something because they want to go to the store, and I'm just going to go with them because that's what they like. Like, going to the store just doesn't make any sense to me, right? Okay, so that's the first one. Second, my brother that's right above him, I have 6 brothers, by the way. So that was my brother Derek. My brother Dwayne, he was the first person that I knew of that knew how to build a website for a business. And I already had a business. And then I found out about this thing called internet marketing in 2001. I'm like, internet marketing, you can make websites online and you can sell stuff. And I got this whole set of cassette tapes by this guy named Ron LeGrand, who was teaching people how to he had this internet marketing conference, and he had all these speakers there. And all of the speakers that were there kept referring to this young kid in his 20s or maybe 30s. And they said, yeah, I learned how to do this. I learned how to sell books on the internet from Corey Rudel. I learned how to do affiliate marketing from Corey Rudel. I learned how to build websites that sell from Corey Rudel. I'm like, who is this Corey Rudel dude? So I found Corey Rudel. He had marketingtips.com. I went on his website, bought all of his stuff. Corey had this student named Jamal Briggs, not Jamal Briggs. Anyway, I know him. He's a friend of mine. I can't, Jermaine Briggs. And Jermaine Briggs was this 19-year-old kid who was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, teaching people how to play the piano by ear on the internet. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, this kid he's a 19-year-old African-American kid from California. He's making $400,000 a year. So I see that. I know how to write sales copy. My brother Dwayne knows how to build a website. And I say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go talk to Dwayne, and we're going to build a website together. And when we build this website together, like, he's going to build the website. I'm going to write the sales copy. We're going to get so rich. So I go to Dwayne. I'm so excited. I'm jacked out of my mind, right? I said, Dwayne, there's this kid. He's 19 years old. He's making $400,000 a year online. And we can make these websites, but I don't know how to make a website. You do. I know how to do marketing. You know. I said, if we put it together, we can get rich. He's like, Well, see, my brother's idea of making money on the internet was building websites for businesses that don't give you enough information to make the website viable, that always want to change it, and they don't want to pay you for the changes. So to him, building a website was a hassle. So I kept saying, Dwayne, we got to do this. So finally one day he got sick of me saying this to him. He said, look, man, if you want to learn how to build a website, do what I did. Go to the church library. There's some videos in there called Professor Teaches Microsoft Front Page. Watch the videos and build the website yourself. First, I was a little irritated. He's my little brother talking to me like that. But we're adults, so we didn't tussle anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm at your house. I'm gonna let you get away with that. Okay, this time. And then I'm so confused. I'm like, why do we have videos in the church library about how to build a website? The whole conversation didn't make any sense to me. But next day I went to the church, got the videos, watched them, built a website, and I launched it. I decided it took me a month to build this website. 2 weeks of that month, it took for me to figure out how to collect payment. Like, I knew nothing. Everybody who taught internet marketing back then and had built websites, they talked about it as if everybody already knew what they meant. So they said, well, what you got to do is you got to build an index.html file. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to build an index.html file, but what does that mean? And then you got to go into the root directory. What's a root directory? Like, there was no point and click, drag and drop, GUI interface, web buildings, Wix, ClickFunnels, Kajabi. There was none of that, right? You had to go like Microsoft front page, go in, figure it out. Okay, so I did that, launched my first website. This was my goal. If I can make $400 my first month, I'm going to be okay. If I make $700, I am going to be the king of internet marketing now. So I launched my first website, June 1st, 2005. A month goes by. I didn't make $400. Didn't make $700. I made $6,700 my first month on the internet. I'm like, what? I was so confused. Now, I was even more confused because this guy named Jeff had me speak on his conference call. And on his conference call, he had this, like, he'd let me make an offer and he didn't even want any money. So I made an offer on his conference call. 5,700 of the 6,700 came in one day from that conference call. So I thought it was a fluke. Well, it's a fluke. If it weren't for me getting on this conference call, I wouldn't have made $6,700, but I would have made more than $700. So I'm like, okay, what was my biggest takeaway? What do y'all think was my biggest takeaway from that experience, my first month? No, my biggest takeaway is not I need to make a lot of money. My biggest takeaway is I got to start a conference call. Right? And so I started my own conference call called The Hour to Empower. I did it every Monday night at 9 p.m. like clockwork for years. And so I thought it was a fluke. The first month I made $6,700. The next month I made $5,500. The next month I made $6,100. That was June, July, August. By December that year, I had my first $10,000 month. I decided I'm going to have a Christmas sale. I was so shocked. People bought stuff from me on Christmas Day. I'm like, you mean all this money has been in my computer all these years and I've just been letting it sit there? I'm telling you right now, there's like your computer sitting on your desk is an ATM and it's got a whole bunch of money in there waiting for you to come make an offer. But you got to build on the platform of the internet. So that's one platform. But the other platform, I just told you about it, was someone else's audience. Jeff had the audience. I didn't have the audience. But guess what? Part of Jeff's audience became my audience. So people say, where am I going to find the people? You don't have to find the people. All you have to do is partner with somebody who's already found the people. I don't know. This to me is exciting. Do you understand that being on somebody else's conference call, somebody else's webinar, somebody else's podcast, being a guest on somebody else's stage is like building a Tesla on a Lotus platform? That's what I said. And then let's don't even talk about, you don't even need a product. Myron, you have to have a product? No, because you can become an affiliate and sell other people's products. You can be an affiliate. What's that mean? That means there are people out there. I am one of them. Like next week, I will pay my affiliate commissions, right? Next week, my affiliates will get paid. I'm sure it will be tens of thousands of dollars. It is every month. Now, that means that I'm paying out tens of thousands of dollars. Whatever I pay in affiliate commissions, that's exactly how much those affiliates made me that I wouldn't have made if I didn't have them as affiliates. So, like I make a couple of $1 million a year generally selling other people's stuff, even though I have my own stuff to sell. You say, why do you do it? Because it's there. It's a framework that's already there. I don't have to build it from the ground up. I was having this conversation with Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels. We were on this yacht mastermind thing that we did going to the Bahamas from Miami after we spoke at Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con in Miami at the Miami Marlins Arena. And I asked Russell a question, because Russell pays a 40% affiliate commission on ClickFunnels if you sell his product. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, Russell, I have a question for you. After you're done paying for like product development, customer support, servers, blah, 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 what's your net profit on ClickFunnels? Pre-tax net profit on ClickFunnels. You know what he said? 38%. 38%. You have all of the expense. You have all the headache. You have all the hiring. You have all the fulfillment. And you only make 38% net profit. Huh. I said, so when I sell a ClickFunnels account, even though I don't have to hire anybody, I don't have to manage anything, I don't have to have any customer support. When I sell a ClickFunnels account, I make 40%. So when I sell a ClickFunnels account, I make more than you, and you've started the company. Like, if you're not an affiliate building on somebody else's platform, they've already built the product, they've already done the proof of concept. If you're not an affiliate, you are leaving a fortune on the table. And maybe you like leaving fortunes on the table. I, for one, don't like leaving fortunes on the table. This is the first page. This is not all the pages. This is just page 1 out of Elon Musk's $274 billion playbook. Okay, are you ready for the second page from the playbook of the richest man in the world? It's going to blow your mind. It blows my mind. Okay, so the very first Tesla was like $170,000. He put it on this Lotus frame. They only made a couple of them a year, but he sold it for $170,000. So, Myron, what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is that he started by selling a premium product first. Like, if you will do this one thing, it'll change the game for you. Like, pick a price. Okay, first, you got to have a solution. If you don't have a solution, then it doesn't matter. You can't just pick a price, obviously. This is for people who already have a solution. You already have solved a problem that the marketplace has, right? So the next thing you want to do is like pick a price that to you is like the biggest price you can imagine. Offer it for that price. See, Elon Musk financed Tesla by selling Tesla Roadsters. Why? Because he knew that the profit center in a $170,000 car was going to be more profitable than the profit center in a $90,000 car. So he said, I'm going to sell the most expensive version of the thing first. And what a lot of people do is they'll sell the cheapest version first, and then they'll inch it up a little bit from there, then they'll inch it up a little bit from there, and then they'll inch it up a little bit from there, and then they'll inch it up from a little bit from there. Now, the one thing that I, as a coach, a business consultant, consult people on that's made them the most money is the most money in the shortest period of time is selling from the stage. In other words, like getting on a platform and making an offer to a group of people, one-on-many selling. That's the thing that I've taught people that's helped them make more money than any other in a short period of time than any other thing I've helped people do. So I remember when I first created that offer, I made the price so high, Danny, that I literally thought nobody's ever going to pay me this amount of money. Like, and see, here's the problem. See, you think you need the money the most. I know you need the practice the most. And I knew I needed the practice more than I needed the profits. And so what I did was I made this super crazy high price for this offer. And I had a room of about 15 people. And I made this offer to them. And 2 people said yes. I started looking around like, okay, maybe they didn't hear me say it was 3,000. Because this was back in 2004 probably. Maybe they didn't hear me say 3,000. So I said, okay, cool. 2 people bought it. They were happy with it. I'm like, okay, the price was too low. So next time, man, I raised that price. Nobody's going to pay me this. 4,000. Made that offer. Had about 50 people in the room. 7 people bought it. Wait, what? If you have a real solution, not a fake solution, not a promise with no substance. If you have a real solution that really helps people, not just that you're parakeeting something you think you heard me say, or something you think you heard Tony Robbins say, or something you think you heard Russell Brunson say, or something you think you heard some other, quote, guru say, but you actually have a real solution that you've worked out and you know it works and you've helped other people, don't inch up to the price, just like launch with it. I sold that product for over a decade and a half. Almost 2 decades, actually. Over a decade and a half, not quite 2 decades, before I stopped selling it. I stopped selling it in 2018. When I stopped selling it, I was selling it for $35,000 and people were still buying it. What if I had started with $35,000? Well, if I didn't think they'd buy it at $3,000, I knew they wouldn't buy it at $35,000, right? And so I remember a conversation I was having with some friends of mine. They're not clients. They were friends. We were peers. And I had them speaking at one of my events here in Tampa many, many years ago. I think probably 2014. And I said, hey guys, I said, how many of your $50,000 offer are you selling? How many of those are y'all selling a month? They said, we're not selling any. I said, oh, okay, cool. I said, would you like to know why you're not selling any? They said, sure. I said, because you don't have a $50,000 offer to sell. They literally went and created a $50,000 offer, started selling it. Sold like hotcakes. Why? Because it's normal for human beings to equate more pricey with more premium. If something costs more, people think it's worth more. Otherwise, why would it cost more? I mean, in a world of equity, why would it cost more if it's not worth more, right? And so, but when I said that to them, I also said something to myself. I said, okay, you think you're hot. Like after I said that to them, and they said, oh yeah, that makes sense. And they went and created, I said, you think you're hot stuff, but why don't you have $1 million offer? Tony Robbins has $1 million offer. Well, I don't know how to provide like $10 million worth of value. How am I or even $2 million worth of value? How can I have $1 million offer? Well, figure it out. Okay. So I figured it out and literally figured out $1 million offer, started making that offer. It took 7 years before anybody bought it. But that 7 years didn't cost me anything, and the 7 years is going to go by anyway. And then within a couple more years, 3 more people bought it. So sell a premium product first. Why? It'll give you the money to get to the rest of your dreams. And then state a powerful, promising future. Now, I personally don't believe that Elon's powerful, promising future is reality because I don't think he can do what his promises, but I do believe he believes he can do it. And that is, we're going to save the planet through electric cars. I don't believe we're going to save the planet. I believe that we should not pollute the planet. I believe that we should take care of our environment. I believe all of that. I just don't believe a lot of the other stuff that goes with that, but Elon Musk does. And he believes, see, here's the thing I respect about Elon Musk, even though I don't believe that the thing he wants to do is something that's going to be doable, because I believe what the Bible says, and the Bible says that God's going to burn up the old heaven and the old earth, and he's going to make a new one. So, we're not saving the planet, but he believes it. I've got mad respect for somebody who believes what they say they believe enough to do something about what they say they believe. Elon Musk didn't say, you go figure out a way to save the planet. He didn't say, well, you're rich, why don't you use some of your money? And it blows my mind how many people think they have a better idea for what I should do with my money than I have. Like when I meet entrepreneurs and they say, I started a nonprofit. Cool. How's it doing? Man, it's struggling right now. And they want me to give money to it. How much did you give to your nonprofit? Well, none, I don't have any money. Okay. May I coach you? This is always my answer. May I coach you? Sure. Okay. I'm going to tell you a couple of things. I'm going to give you the problem first, then I'm going to give you the solution. Here's the problem. Rich people are not in the habit of contributing money to causes started by poor people, because if you don't know what to do with your money to make it grow and multiply, how could you possibly know what to do with my money to make it grow and multiply? So that's the problem. The problem is you think that your cause with your charity would be a good use for my money. I disagree. I don't think my money is going to be a good cause. Your charity is a good place for my money. So let me tell you how I fund my nonprofit, because I have a nonprofit. Become rich. Go build a for-profit business, get really, really rich, and then have a fundraising party, dinner, whatever. And then invite all your rich friends. And then make them an offer to give to your charity. Because when they can see And then you be the first one to contribute. When they see you contributing your money to that charity, now I believe that's a place that's worth me putting my money. But if you haven't put any money in, why should I put any money in? You believe in it enough for me to put my money in, but not enough for you to put your money in. See, I put my money where my mouth is. And I put money into my charity, and I use my charity to support widows and orphans and sometimes ministries that I believe deserve whatever. I have an orphanage that I send money to every month in Liberia, West Africa. I have widows that I support. I have ministries that I support from time to time, and people in ministry that I support from time to time. That's what I do with the money that my nonprofit raises. And I don't even have parties and ask people to give to it. I just give to it myself. But if people come to me and say, hey, I want to give you some money for, say, here, just make it out to my nonprofit. If I go speak at a church, I won't let them give me the money. I say, make it out to my nonprofit. I'll literally spend money to go speak at a church, and then the money that they give me, I have them make it out to my nonprofit, and I put it in my nonprofit so I can support those widows and orphans. Why? I don't need the money. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with me taking it. I just don't need it. And I'd rather give the money to my nonprofit. So, but state a powerful, promising future. Elon Musk is, hey, we're going to save the planet through electric cars. What's your powerful, promising future that you're promising people that causes them to not just want to buy your product, but to become a part of your movement? Mine is, I believe that, when all is said and done in most people's lives, more is said than done, right? But it shouldn't be that way. Like, why is more said than done? Like, I want to do way more than I talk about. I would like my life to be a more done than said life. And so I believe the Bible is the ultimate truth. It is the constitution of the universe. I believe that heaven is real, hell is real. People are going to spend eternity somewhere, but I don't want to just go around telling people that. I want to live a life that exemplifies somebody who is yielded to the King, so that even if they don't want to hear what I say, they're willing to listen because they desire what I have. That's what happens when you state a powerful, promising future. So I teach people business development, business growth, strategies based on biblical principles, because I believe that God has the best ideas. And business is not just a good idea. Business is a God idea. So I hope this video helps you. Take these plays from Elon Musk's, three pages from Elon Musk's Tesla playbook. Apply them to your business. I challenge you to come back and tell me they didn't work. All right. Hope this video blesses you. Stay blessed by the best, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace out. Your time's going to come whether you prepare yourself or not. If you're prepared when your time comes, it will reveal you. If you're not prepared, it will expose you. I'm going to share with you guys today how I learned from nature how to go viral using AI and social media. Like when AI first came out, I was like, I don't know. I don't know how many of y'all were like, I don't know. And I jumped into learning a little bit about it right away, but I didn't start using it because I didn't really understand how to use it. And I think most people don't understand how to use AI at all. They use it to think for themselves instead of using it to do research for them about the things they think. And so I used it to figure out how to go viral. Now, I'm going to tell you this at the beginning of this video, right now. Not only did I discover this, but these exact principles that I'm about to show you helped me gain an extra 80,000 followers on Instagram in 3 days, 20 to 30,000 on TikTok, and I just don't know because I didn't look at it before it got started, and how it caused our YouTube views to go up on the weekends when they usually go down on the weekends. So this is not some little idea. This is big. Okay. So, there's a concept in nature called perturbation. Perturbation means that perturbation is how pollen it's the mechanism by which pollen spreads to reproduce plant life in nature. And animals and humans reproduce in a very different way than plants reproduce, and plants reproduce by spreading pollen, but plants don't have any ability to spread the pollen themselves. So there are some mechanisms in nature that cause plants to reproduce exponentially. Why is that important? Well, because we as human beings, humans and animals breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. And plants take in carbon dioxide and breathe and put off oxygen. So if there were no plant life, there could be no human life, there could be no animal life. So plants existing are absolutely essential to our existence. So this is a very, very, very life-sustaining existential necessity in nature that pollen spreads. So as I was thinking about perturbation one day, and yes, I was thinking about perturbation. As I was thinking about perturbation, I got this idea to get ChatGPT to help me study the mechanisms of perturbation could help content go viral on the internet. And I thought, so I typed in this question. What are the sources of perturbation in nature that cause pollen to spread? So that's where the whole question began. What are the sources of perturbation in nature that cause pollen to spread? And it gave me this long dissertation. I'm not going to give you the long dissertation. I'm just going to give you the elements. In fact, I'm going to go draw them on the board to the best of my ability. And I'm going to draw a representation of these perturbation mechanisms on the board. And then we're going to look at how each of these mechanisms can be replicated for ideas that we'd like to go viral in the marketplace. Does that make sense to everybody? Are y'all tracking? If so, say yes. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. So the first one was wind. So wind, okay? So that's how they illustrate wind on cartoons. So I figured that's how I'll illustrate. So the first one is wind, okay? The second one is insects. So in fact, I'm going to draw a bee, right? Well, that didn't work. Okay. Okay, insects. The next one is animals. I gotta, what animal am I going to draw? Okay. Okay. It could be a cat, it could be a dog, it can be whatever animal y'all like it to be. Okay, so animals. Okay, animals. And explosive mechanisms. So explosive mechanisms, you're like, what explosive mechanisms are there in nature? Well, there's lightning. So we could do that. We could do, yeah, it did work very well. So lightning. Okay, so lightning, so that's an explosive mechanism. Lightning strikes a tree, the tree falls down, it disturbs. Are y'all tracking? Okay, cool. So, and then animals, mechanical disturbances. Okay, so lightning would be an explosive disturbance, and then we'll say a tree falling down. A tree falling down in the forest is a mechanical disturbance. So, okay, so the tree fell down. So it's not going up. Okay, so now you're saying, what does this have to do with going viral? Well, this is how pollen spreads, okay? And so then after I asked ChatGPT that question, I asked it another question. I said, what could be some metaphors for the perturbation mechanisms of wind, insects, animals, water, explosive mechanisms, and mechanical disturbances that could affect the spread of ideas socially, similar to how pollen is spread ecologically? So what I'm asking ChatGPT is to show me some things. And why did I even do like, who thinks about weird stuff like this? Weird people like me. And so the reason I thought of this is because of a conversation that I had on a plane a long, long time ago. I'm talking about probably maybe even 20 years ago, with a young man named Austin who lived in Boston, and he was a physicist. And we talked about physics from San Diego, California, all the way to Baltimore, Maryland. So for 5 hours, I'm talking to a physicist about physics. I said, so what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a physicist. I said, wow, that's really, really cool. And I said, so what's your favorite physics principle? And he said that all principles are microcosms of each other. I said, ooh, that's so good. But instead of me thinking I know what you mean, tell me what you mean. So when I'm sharing this with people, that I can tell them what you said instead of what I thought you said. He said, okay, here's what I mean. He said, if you take a principle from one domain or discipline and you apply it to another domain or discipline, it still works the same way. I'm like, ooh, that's so good. And so that's what caused me to think about this. And so it told me, I said, so what are the metaphors? What are some social metaphors of perturbation mechanisms like wind, water, insects, animals, explosive mechanisms, mechanical disturbances that could affect the spread of ideas socially, similar to how pollen is spread ecologically? And then ChatGPT said, drawing parallels between ecological perturbation mechanisms that spread pollen and social processes that disseminate ideas can provide insightful social metaphors. Here are some of the potential social metaphors for each perturbation mechanism. So he said, or ChatGPT said, for wind would be like social media. So social media virality. Well, and here's what he said. Here's what it said. It said, just as wind can carry pollen over vast distances, social media platforms have the power to rapidly spread ideas across communities and even continents. A single post or tweet can be shared wildly, reaching diverse audiences and influencing public discourse. So now I've got a confession to make. Like, I did this research months, like maybe 8 months ago, and then proceeded to know it, but not do anything about it. But something happened that reminded me of this. And what happened was I got interviewed by this young man. I pull up to Eddie B's and this kid comes over to me, says, I'm getting out of my car. I'm putting my jacket on. Excuse me, sir, is that your Rolls Royce? And the smart aleck in me wanted to say something like, no, I borrowed it from my daughter, right? Or something, right? The smart aleck in me just wanted to say something smart alecky, but I didn't. I said, yeah. And he started asking me these questions. Well, this interview that he did with me that lasted maybe all of 3 minutes, it went viral. Like, how viral? It's gotten over 50 million video views in 3 days, like on different platforms. And he hasn't even released it on YouTube yet. So now I know you are going to think that Myron is the slowest draw in the West. Good thing he's not a gunfighter when I tell you this. Okay. And what I mean by that is, like, I didn't know something could get 50 million views in 3 days. I didn't know that was like a thing that happened. And I know you're probably thinking, this guy's really not that sharp. He didn't know that YouTube paid people for 14 years. He didn't know videos. Yeah, I didn't know because I didn't have a reason. I didn't have a way to know. Anyway, so social media, on Instagram, we gained 80,000 followers since last Friday. On TikTok, 20 to 30,000. Our YouTube videos are going up, and he hasn't even posted it on YouTube yet. Right? And then I called him. I'm like, is this normal? He said, this is the best performing video he's ever had on his channel.
Yeah.
A 3-minute conversation. It's crazy town. Okay. So let's get back into the perturbation mechanisms. Okay. So insects are like word of mouth. So, and here's what he said. Similar to insects transferring pollen between flowers as they move, word of mouth serves as a natural mechanism for spreading ideas among individuals in social networks. Conversations, recommendations, informal discussions can lead to the propagation of ideas within communities. So I looked on TikTok this morning. I said, so I wanted to see how this was spreading on TikTok. And people were taking the conversation and applying it to their own videos. People were having reaction videos to it. I mean, and I'm just scrolling and it's just hundreds and hundreds of people repurposing this 3-minute interview in 3 days though. My mind was blown. Okay. So that insects are like word of mouth. People are telling other people and sharing on their social networks. So it's like insects are now amplifying the mechanism of the social media wins. Does that make sense? And so then animals, leadership. So animals are like leadership and influencers. In social groups, influential individuals or leaders can be likened unto animals that facilitate the spread of ideas through their actions, endorsements, advocacy. Like animals carrying pollen on their bodies, influential figures can disseminate ideas as they interact with their followers or community members. So what does that tell me about this whole experience I had? Well, this young man that interviewed me, he's got I think he's got like 700,000 or 800,000 subscribers on YouTube, but he's got 3.7 million followers on Instagram and 2.7 million followers on TikTok. And so because he influences those people and he asked me the questions in front of his audience, a lot of his audience migrated over to follow me on social media platforms. It's mind-blowing how fast this happened. And the reason I'm sharing this with those of you on YouTube and those of you in this room is because you can take these very same principles when you first get started. You don't have to wait until you've been on social media for 15 or 16 years before you apply these principles to your social media so that you can gain traction and attract an audience. Now, you have to be prepared when the moment comes, right? Because fortunately, he asked me questions I knew the answer to. Right? What if he had asked me questions that I've been like, right? So, animals. So animals, influencers and leaders. Okay. Water, community engagement and events. Just as water transports pollen between aquatic plants, community events, gatherings, and forums serve as channels for exchanging ideas and perspectives among participants. Ideas flow and mingle as people engage and discuss collaborative ideas. So when people get together and they start talking about something they've seen, like an event, this is a gathering. So on YouTube, it's social media, but in this room, it's like we are connected to each other, right? And who knows, maybe because you were in this room today, you'll go home and have a conversation with your spouse or with your kids, or maybe you'll talk to coworkers at work tomorrow about some of these ideas because you were here and so that's the implication of water. When people gather together, ideas flow between them. And then explosive mechanisms. So viral trends and memes. Explosive mechanisms in social context can be compared to viral trends or memes that rapidly capture public attention and spread across platforms. These trends often originate from a single instance or event and quickly proliferate, generating widespread discussion and imitation. And that's exactly what happened. All these people on TikTok, right? All these people on TikTok. So this video of this young man talking to me for like, maybe it might have lasted 3 minutes. It might have been 2.5. I'm going to go time it now just because it wasn't very long. It's turned into a meme that people are putting their own spin on. It's kind of, it's mind blowing to me. I was supposed to say, this is word of mouth. I forgot to do this. Word of mouth. This is influencers. Explosive mechanisms. This is memes. Memes. I didn't spell that right. Memes. And I forgot water. Gatherings. And mechanical disturbances, controversy, and disruption. Similar to how mechanical disturbances release pollen from plants, conflicts and disruptive events can prompt the release and dissemination of new ideas and perspectives within society. These disruptions can challenge the existing norms or provoke debate that stimulates innovation. So the mechanical disturbance is controversy and conflict. So you have controversy and conflict. And this didn't really have any controversy or conflict other than the fact that this young man asked me the question. He said, do you believe in God? That's one of the questions he asked me. And I said, I more than believe in God. I trust God. And he asked me, how important is my faith to me in my life? I said, it's the most important thing in my life. Well, that's kind of controversial when you have people that believe all kinds of different things. In fact, how controversial is it? So like people have been sending me messages on Instagram like crazy. So one person sent me a message because he asked me the question about how important is my faith. I said, I received Christ when I was 16 years old, and the Bible is the foundation of my life, et cetera, et cetera. And so I got it. So just to illustrate this is what I mean when I say controversy, somebody sent me a message on Instagram. I saw it this morning. They said, I don't usually send messages like this, but I'm going to send this message to you this time. And here's what he said: consider Islam. Right? So that's what I mean when I say it's controversial, right? But I've already considered Islam. And Islam is a religion, and I don't practice religion, right? God is my king. Jesus Christ is the King of Kings. He's a governmental figure, not a religious figure. Anyway, so that's controversial. Even that statement is a controversial statement. I saw one of my videos where I taught on this, where I was speaking at a church on this, and then this guy who disagreed with me, who has zero, I went to his YouTube page because I was like, when people have, like, I want to see what you're teaching, right? Right? So this guy's been on YouTube for 10 years. He has 0 videos and 4 subscribers, but he disagrees with me on my platform as if he thinks the people who came to hear me care about his opinion, right? And he said, this is false doctrine. Okay. Just because you're confused doesn't make it. Here's what's fascinating. Just because somebody does not have the ability or capacity to understand something doesn't mean the thing that was taught was wrong. Okay. So controversy. Now, what's my greatest lesson in all this? My greatest lesson is this happened to happen. I did not orchestrate it, right? I didn't make this happen. I had no idea what questions this young man was going to ask me. No idea, right? Which tells me several things. Here are the lessons in this, besides the things that I just shared with you that hopefully are valuable lessons, right? Here are the lessons that I learned in this. Number one, Abraham Lincoln said, I will prepare myself and perhaps my time will come. Myron Golden says, your time's going to come whether you prepare yourself or not. If you're prepared when your time comes, it will reveal you. If you're not prepared, it will expose you. The question all of us have to answer is this: am I going to prepare so my life can become a grand reveal? Or am I going to remain unprepared and let it become an expose? So, fortunately, when he asked me the questions he asked me the answer to were questions that I had already contemplated in my life. These are things I've already thought about. That's number one. The second thing is, this happened to happen. And the reality is, I can literally make it happen now that it's happened. Fortunately, I did this research on this whole perturbation mechanism thing before it happened, so that when it happened, I had something to relate it to that I could go back and say, this equals that, this equals this equals that. And so if I desire to replicate and duplicate this experience to spread, to attract a larger audience, to impact a greater segment of the world, then I can now do it intentionally because I had the awareness when the experience happened that gives me the ability to go do it again. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because any one of us can post our ideas on social media. That is, if we're not so fragile that somebody disagreeing with our ideas doesn't cause us to go sit on the bathroom floor and cry, right? All of us can reach out to people who have the same amount of influence as us, or maybe a little more influence than us, and see if they would be willing to have a conversation about our ideas in front of their audience. So I'm going to tell you something. I learned this a long time ago when I used to be on radio and television fairly often and get interviewed for magazines and newspapers. Here's what I discovered. You know what's harder than getting on television or getting on a radio, or in today, getting on a podcast or getting interviewed by somebody who has a platform? You know what's harder than that? finding somebody interesting to talk to. It's way harder to find an interesting guest than it is to get on a show that has an audience. It's way harder. And so this happened to happen, but I can make it happen. And I've made it happen some in the past. I've made it happen, but not at this level, right? But it doesn't always have to be at this level. Like my very first experience of this, and I didn't have this perturbation mechanism point of reference to even realize what had happened, was when I got interviewed on David Chan's Social Proof podcast, and it aired in, I think, 2020 or maybe 2019, and it doubled my YouTube subscribers in a couple of months. And you think, wow, maybe I should go get on more podcasts, right? So all I'm saying is this: we can all benefit from just learning how things work in life, and then figuring out how we can duplicate what God has created in nature to produce outcomes that are desirable for us and beneficial for other people. So hopefully this whole conversation about like natural virality using AI and social media helps you grow your brand and attract your audience so that you can impact the lives of others. In the meantime, in between time, stay blessed by the best, and we'll see you on the next video.